Just ahead on American Black Journal, the new American Basketball Hall of Fame gets ready for its first class of inductees. Plus, the largest women's business conference in the Midwest is coming to Metro Detroit. Stay right there. American Black Journal starts now.
Masco Corporation is proud to manufacture innovative and environmentally friendly products for the home. Delta faucets, craft-made in Merillat cabinets, and Behr brand paints have all been designed with you in mind. Masco and its family of companies, serving Michigan communities since 1929.
Support also provided by the W.K. Kellogg Foundation, a partner with communities where children come first. The Cynthia and Etzel Ford Fund for Journalism at Detroit Public TV.
The DTE Foundation proudly supports 50 years of American Black Journal in covering African American history, culture, and politics. The DTE Foundation and American Black Journal, partners in presenting African American perspectives about our communities and in our world.
Also brought to you by Ally, Nissan Foundation, and viewers like you. Thank you.
Welcome to American Black Journal. I'm Stephen Henderson. The newly established American Basketball Hall of Fame is going to welcome its first class of inductees at a ceremony next month at the Charles H. Wright Museum. The honorees include former professional basketball players, 2 high school coaches, and a very familiar Detroit Pistons announcer. The American Basketball Hall of Fame launched here in Detroit this year, and future plans include a state-of-the-art interactive facility. Joining me now are 2 of the honorees, former college standout Stanley Ruffin and the Detroit Pistons play-by-play announcer George Blaha. Welcome to American Black Journal.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, what a great idea. Tell me about the Basketball Hall of Fame.
Well, this is something that came about. Lamont Robinson came up with the idea, the concept of honoring individuals in and around the city of Detroit, and not just Detroit, but surrounding cities and states, those who were somewhat unsung. They were very popular when they played, and the community recognizes them, and some of them have already been honored. Spencer Haywood and Dave Bing, they're in the National Basketball Hall of Fame. Yeah. But he just thought that it would be a nice idea to have a Hall of Fame for individuals who were not recognized for their exploits.
Yeah, and of course, we have such a rich basketball history here in the city of Detroit. I can't imagine it's easy to even winnow the number of people down to an acceptable number to talk about a Hall of Fame, right?
Exactly. And so when you're talking about an inaugural, this is the first, and I think he's done a real good job of adding some diversity to those who will be inducted for this first honorees for this American Basketball Hall of Fame. I think he's done a great job. He's got some from all different genres of basketball, pro as well as high school and college. So I think he's done a pretty good job.
So tell us about your career.
Well, I had this thing where I didn't play varsity high school basketball, but I had this growth spurt, and you probably heard that from a number of players. And I went from 5'9" to 6'3", and I was playing a little pickup ball, and somebody saw me and said, you need to think about this thing more seriously.
Right.
So I went to OCC as a walk-on. And my first game, I had, I think, what they call a triple-double now. And so I started getting all these offers, and one in particular was Steve Fisher, who was at that time the assistant coach at Western Michigan University. And Bowling Green, Ball State, U of D, Ferris State, number of schools. So I ended up working with Steve Fisher and thought I was going there until he told me, well, Les Whitkey's going to take the job at Army, and I'm going to take the job as the assistant for Bill Frieder. So I worked at camp at Bill Frieder at University of Michigan, and he asked me to come as a walk-on because they didn't have any scholarships. And my coach at the time at OCC said, well, they've got a recruit, an All-American recruit named Eric Turner, and you play the same position. I was a point guard. Maybe you better look at Murray State. So I ended up going down to Murray State. Didn't work out, but that's pretty much it. Transitioned into a lot of things and worked a number of camps at the University of Michigan. So I call myself an honorary Michigan Wolverine.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's really great. My friend Freddie Hunter is another guy who walked on, or tried to walk on at Michigan, and ultimately ended up with a scholarship. Mr. Blaha, your name and your voice are going to be really familiar to our viewers. Congratulations on the induction into the Hall of Fame.
Well, thank you. I just want to thank basically the basketball fans around. You know, it's the fans who've made my career reasonably successful. You know, if they decided that they didn't like what I did, they'd have turned off the radio or turned off the TV, and sooner or later the Pistons would have turned me off.
Right.
So the fans have been great.
Yeah.
And the game, the players, the coaches, I appreciate it all.
Yeah. Remind me how long you have been doing Pistons announcement.
Well, in the 1976-77 season was my first, so this season will be my 44th.
Wow. Wow.
And I can always look back to the fact that the first season after the NBA and the ABA merged was my first year.
Okay.
So a couple of franchises from the ABA came over to our league, including the Indiana Pacers and the Denver Nuggets and so forth. But we kind of pulled all those great players together, and the league, I think, started to get better and better and better.
Yeah, yeah. What's changed the most over the time that you've been calling games in terms of the game itself?
Great question. I think the game is less physical now.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I like that.
The refs are all over them if they touch each other.
Yeah,
right?
I'm not sure I like that, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
And it is probably more pleasing to watch as far as some people are concerned, because there's more free flow in the game.
Yeah.
And you see the true skills of players. In the old days, when a guy was strong enough to hand check you, then you weren't going anywhere.
Right. Right.
And so you had to think of other ways to make something
Couldn't just
happen
go
on
through.
the court.
Yeah.
So, and the great big men don't seem to be as plentiful as they used to be. Bob Lanier, for instance, a great Detroit Piston. I think he still would have been fine today because he had so much skill and such a soft touch. But to do his work down, being big and strong around the basket wouldn't have been as easy because they were calling everything.
Yeah. And also you've got these big men now who move like they're point guards, people who are centers or forwards. But you know, shoot the ball and dribble
threes.
and handle, and I mean all this. I mean, it's a different game.
Everybody has to be able to do almost everything.
Yeah.
And so there aren't quite as many specialists. You know, it's kind of hard to decide if a guy. Well, is he a power forward? Is he a small forward? Is he a center, point guard, shooting guard? You know, most point guards now are scorers.
Right.
So they have a little more of a scorer's mentality than the classic point guard of the past used to have.
Yeah. Yeah. Talk about some of the other folks who are going to be among the inductees.
Well, that's the diversity that I appreciate that Lamont has come up with. We're going to talk about a former Ecorse High School player. I went to Ecorse High, named Archie Clark.
Okay.
That's
Shake
going to make
and bake.
That's going to be the original crossover. They talk about Anthony Hardaway and these guys. They crossover.
They learned it from him.
Archie Clark, man. John Long, Spencer Haywood, Willie Burton, Derek Coleman, Jalen Rose, Vinnie Johnson, Tim McCormick. You've got a legendary coach, the modern-day Will Robinson, and Perry Watson from Southwest Detroit. And then you have, of course, Antoine Jobert. They know him as the judge. And you have John Long. I mentioned him. But all of these individuals will be going in and very well deserved.
Yeah, yeah. Talk about what basketball did for you in life. I mean, I always love the stories of the way that athletics and team sports in particular prepare people for other things.
Well, I've never lacked confidence.
Yeah.
But what basketball and sports does is it takes you to another level because of the ingredients that it takes to be a ball player, the dedication, the discipline, the determination. But it also teaches you something that you need in life, and that is how to play a role. And all of us have to play roles in life. Somebody has to take the lead. And it's not always the best person who has the most skills that takes the lead. Generally speaking, it's the one who works the hardest.
Yeah.
And so we've seen, and the coaches have told us, we may have more talent than them, but if they outwork us, they'll win. And so it just teaches you how to matriculate in life and become not just a leader, but a role player, a contributor. And so that's what I've learned, that it has helped me to be the best I can be and get along with people and work with people.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, we mentioned the fact that Perry Watson's a modern-day Will Robinson.
Yes.
In my opinion, and Will and I were friends, God rest his soul, I felt like he might have been the most impressive human being I ever met. Will sent so many young people to college, and every day at practice he'd read to them about current events. I mean, they learned things you learn in the classroom, actually at the gym before practice.
Right.
So, and he was a disciplinarian, but all his players knew that he loved them and cared about them.
Yeah.
And amazing guy.
Yeah.
That's the point I wanted to make. I met Perry Watson when I was being recruited at Western Michigan. We were working a basketball camp. And I learned that Perry Watson was not just a coach, he was a father figure and like an uncle. And they loved and trusted him.
They did.
I mean, he sent a lot of players to the NBA. Jalen Rose, I don't know if I mentioned, Jalen Rose is one that what he's doing now is a direct result of how Perry worked with those boys. Yeah. And I mean, he worked with them as sons, not just as players, but he really was a hands-on type of guy.
Yeah. George, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about the 3 championship seasons that you got to cover, announce for the Pistons. I was a teenager for the first 2, and it was just such an incredible moment in the city, and in terms of belief in the city and who we were. That team really embodied, I thought, our character.
Exactly. They were a Detroit type team, and this is such a great basketball city, basketball state as well, but let's just concentrate on Detroit and the Detroit area for a minute. To deliver the first basketball professional championship to the Motor City was a thrill for all of us. Yeah. And the Bad Boys, I mean, everybody loved the Bad Boys. And I tell you the truth, I thought, well, there'll never be another team that could capture the love and admiration of our community like those guys. And then along came Ben Wallace and the Going to Work group. And that team was absolutely loved. And so we've had 2 championship teams that played like they were Detroiters. And Detroiters love both those teams.
And that commonality between them, they were both about the work and not much else.
Exactly. And when I think back at Isiah Thomas being the captain of the Bad Boys, the thing that makes that so impressive is there were 7, 8, maybe 10 guys on that team who were smart enough, tough enough, talented enough to be captain. So for him to be captain, that was really saying something.
All right. Well, congratulations, and thanks for being here.
Good to be here. Glad for you having us here. We appreciate it.
We appreciate it very much.
All right, coming up, a conference for women business owners. But first, here's a 1997 American Black Journal interview with former Detroit Piston Isiah Thomas about the team's reputation as the Bad Boys.
Well, defense, whether it be basketball, football, baseball, or hockey, defense is always the ugly part of the game. And for whatever reason in sports and in society, defense always get labeled with negative terms. You know, tough, rough, knock people down, you stop people. Those aren't good terms to attach to, something that's being done positive. And defense has always attracted the negative labels in sports. I think we were probably the greatest defensive team to ever play in the history of the NBA. Not because of, we held people to this many points. I think from a talent standpoint defensively, we were so versatile defensively that we were able not only to bang, but we were also quick of foot. You had Rodman and Sally, myself, Dumars, Vinny, who could, do some things pretty athletically. Then you had Aguirre, Mahone, Lambier, and James Edwards, who, were big
the
physical
big guys
people.
Who could stand in there and
so
sure.
you were able to keep people off balance. So you really had a nice blend from a defensive standpoint, and I don't think any other team has had that in sports.
The 19th annual Great Lakes Women's Business Conference takes place in Novi on September 23rd and September 24th. It's the largest gathering of women business owners in the Midwest. The event is hosted by the Great Lakes Women's Business Council and features guest speakers workshops, and opportunities for business owners to connect with major corporations. Here to tell us more is Program Manager Shantae Dixon, along with former board member John Taylor of JT Diversity Solutions and Allery Adams, founder of A Squared Legal Group. Welcome, all of you, to American Black Journal.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah. So tell me about this conference.
Well, this conference is a wonderful opportunity for women business enterprises to come. There are going to be over 1,000 women business owners from all over the country, corporate and government procurement professionals, all convening on the suburban showplace. And it's an opportunity for women who are looking to take their business to another level. There will be an opportunity for them to do so.
Yeah, the importance of, even though you may be a business owner, have a successful business, the importance of continuing to think of ways to grow, of opportunities to grow, that's still very key to women-owned businesses.
Yes, it is. It's all about access, and this event will put women into connection with those who can provide a seat at the table. And women has shown that they're more than qualified and capable of running a successful enterprise. And this event allows them to come and meet face to face with those individuals who get to make those decisions. Yeah. Yes.
Talk about
Yes.
the work that we still have to do, lifting up the idea of women-owned businesses, and then again, making sure that once they're doing that work, they have the opportunity to continue to do it and to grow.
Oh, absolutely. As you know, small businesses are the backbone of the country, and women-owned businesses are growing every day at a really fast rate. Corporate America is reaching out to women-owned businesses. The supply to diversity aspect, we track ethnic minorities, women-owned business, and veterans, and some others. And really, I have to take my hats off to corporations because they reach out, they recognize, and they depend on organizations like the Great Lakes Women Organization to identify the women, certify to make sure that they are women-owned businesses, and then they present them in fashions like this event that's coming up to give us an opportunity to come out and seek and find diverse suppliers that we can do business with.
Yeah. You talked about corporate America being interested in women-owned businesses.
Yes.
Can you talk more about what that interest looks like and what they're looking for?
Yes. I would say that the majority of the corporate 250 suppliers out there, the majority of them have programs for diverse and inclusion opportunities. And what that means is that these companies are on purpose seeking out either ethnic minorities or women-owned businesses or veteran-owned business, or there's some other allocations to do business with. And it's part of their corporate DNA. Corporations that really embrace it, they recognize that, hey, women make a lot of decisions in buying. The minorities are the majority growing, so they have that buying power. So smart companies recognize that, and they embrace it, and they try to develop.
Yeah. Allery, tell me about A Squared Legal Group.
Well, we're a law firm located in downtown Detroit. We specialize in business law, employment law, and serving as outside general counsel for small businesses that have ongoing legal needs but don't necessarily need to have a full-time attorney on staff. So that's our primary practice areas.
Yeah.
And so I've been with Great Lakes since 2017. I've been a member. And it's been a very critical component to my practice and to my business for its growth.
Yeah. So tell me what about Great Lakes has been so key for you?
Primarily the support and the ability of not only the employees that work for Great Lakes, but also the fellow members. And just being able to know that someone is a phone call away, no matter what I may need, and the fact that they continuously provide us with educational opportunities for us to grow our business. And I genuinely feel as though they want us to succeed, and that's very evident by the programs they continue to put on annually.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Well, the Great Lakes, corporations love organizations like the Great Lakes because they're well managed, they're well organized, they identify suppliers, and they help to develop them. And that right there is an outstanding thing, because as a corporation, we don't have time to run around and identify all of the suppliers. So we lean on Great Lakes and other organizations to certify and to present these suppliers in a manner that we can have access to them.
Yeah. Allery, talk to me about the decision to start a business. That's always a huge decision in somebody's life. Talk about what led you there and what made you feel like, hey, I can be successful at this.
It was just something I wanted to do. During that time, we were just coming out of the recession, and so I figure this would be a good opportunity to see if I can, as we like to say in my legal world, hang my own shingle.
Right.
And so, like I said, I've been doing that since around 2014. I committed full time to my solo practice, and it's been very successful thus far.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that has to do with the connection I've been making, and also once I got my membership with Great Lakes.
With Great Lakes, yeah. And that first 5 years that you're in business, that's kind of that critical time.
Correct,
where
it is.
you really got to get your footing and decide, all right, I really am going to do this.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, after spending 40 years in corporate America, I too drank the juice of being an entrepreneur. So for the last 3 years, I feel your pain.
Yes.
I feel your growth. Man, it's amazing.
Talk about some of the challenges that women-owned businesses still face, just in terms of survival. Let's set aside growth for a second.
Yes,
but just
and
being
our
able to do
organization
it.
has been at the forefront of really studying women in business. And a lot of the challenges the women are facing is, again, access. Capital is still a major concern for our women owners, as well as just being knowledgeable about how to conduct business. So our organization is very comprehensive. In addition to certifying them, we have trainings. We have an SBA Women's Business Center where we provide them with counseling and training. This event will provide them with high-level training, so not only just how to start a business, but how to make a deal, how to negotiate, how do you pitch your business. We're going to have the great pitch.
Yes.
So individuals can learn what should go into a pitch when you have an opportunity to speak to a corporate member.
Yeah.
So our program is very comprehensive, and we also have a loan fund as well to help them with that capital that is so critical in those development phases.
And especially in that that early time when you're doing it. There's also, it strikes me that there's this critical question you have to ask before you start a business, which is, do I just have a good idea, or do I actually have a good idea for a business? And not everybody can make that decision on their own.
Right. Right, and I believe everyone should be provided with an opportunity to at least explore it. But again, it's not for the faint at heart. So we do have programs, and we have a mentorship program where individuals get to really see what it takes to run a business, and they get to make that informed choice to decide if this is just a hobby or something that is worth pursuing further.
Yeah.
Yes.
And yes, they do have frank conversations with prospective businesses, because, as you say, the vast majority of businesses fail within the first couple years or so, and for lack of planning, lack of financing, and some other needs. But still, the thrill and the thought process. Many of these small businesses, just like Allery, she was a practitioner, and so she knows the space, and an opportunity to have her to come up and put her own shingle up, and like me. 40 years of training, and now I'm out in the field as well.
Yeah. Allery, talk about the importance of the connections, I guess, that you get to make through Great Lakes in that early time when you were trying to establish this business.
Excuse me. It was important to make those connections just because you don't know everything. And so I know the law, and that's primarily my lane, but as far as, say, marketing or just how to approach businesses, whether they're corporations, government entities, or other WBEs, just how to interact and ways to showcase my business in a way that will attract others.
Yeah. Okay, well, congratulations on getting the conference here, and good luck, and thanks to all of you for being here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that's our program for today. You can go to AmericanBlackJournal.org for more information on our guests and to check out past episodes. And you can always connect with us on Facebook and on Twitter. We'll see you next time.
Masco Corporation is proud to manufacture innovative and environmentally friendly products for the home. Delta faucets, craft-made in Merillat cabinets, and Behr brand paints have all been designed with you in mind. Masco and its family of companies, serving Michigan communities since 1929.
Support also provided by the W.K. Kellogg Foundation, a partner with communities where children come first. The Cynthia and Etzel Ford Fund for Journalism at Detroit Public TV.
The DTE Foundation proudly supports 50 years of American Black Journal in covering African American history, culture, and politics. The DTE Foundation and American Black Journal, partners in presenting African American perspectives about our communities and in our world.
Also brought to you by Ally, Nissan Foundation, and viewers like you. Thank you.